Rumor is 5150 Sosa isn't even dead. A lot of these guys aren't even actually dead. They were just they faked their deaths and things as a strategy, like a warfare military strategy, so that a lot of people were unaware that they were actually alive. See, like end of sentence is part of their clique, and they all work together and throw out different strategies that other people fall into. But I was notified of all these strategies by somebody before somebody had let me know about that.
Look, it's blood on speeder, nigga. Look, look, first off, I wanna say rest in peace, my nigga. Speedy boy, yeah, I love you and the whole hood miss you. When the time is right, we coming after a nigga. We ain't laying down on nothing, we tryna smash a nigga. February 10th, nigga, 2018. Nigga dropped the window shots, rang out a murder scene. It's all gravy though, that's how you played it though. The committee, we go to war just like the Navy though. And you think slime about my dog? Really gon' bring 'em back? Hell no, but I'ma mask up, nigga, and handle that. I been hearing through the wind about where them bitch niggas at. I been waiting just to get your ass 32 out the mat. Headshots, making examples out of them fuck niggas. We don't drop no windows round this bitch, we real killers. Got revenge all in my heart, murder all on my mind. I ain't stopping till all of them bitch niggas get flatlined. Apply pressure, make them fuck niggas tell on themselves. Catch you on that porch and kill every bitch that's there. Rapid fire, go to spit and knock you out of that chair. I'm trying to catch five, nigga, we ain't playing it fell. And me and bruh, we was sliding, going straight to the top. That was my thought, brother, how the fuck I let him get popped? Don't let this rapping shit fool you, nigga, I swing glocks. I throw this rap shit out the window that's on the top, nigga. I say it's blood on speeder, nigga. It's blood on speeder, nigga. Look, so much blood on speeder, nigga. You hear me? Look, look, scared to run head on with me, nigga. You know what's up? Check the scoreboard from that side, nigga. We still up. And fuck what you claiming, nigga.
I think there was so much blood on that Sosa name in the past 15 years, 20 years since Scarface or whatever that they sent 5150 Sosa out. And he's gone crazy for the Sosas. Same with another guy, Chief Keef. He took that Sosa name. But the Sosas were a real family, still are. Uh, you can learn a lot about them. They have a lot of different movies made after them, and that's been based on their family and their family history, or even uh, all different uh, jokes and not even their thing isn't really more comedy. It's more how serious and powerful and wealthy the Sosas were, and they go back to South America, the family, the Sosa family, and they lost a couple people in Florida because they're going more north, and I think it had something to do with me because they're from South America and they had moved. They got a lot of their family up to Florida, and I'm from Canada, and it's like the complete opposite sort of thing, and it clashed or something, and they lost a lot of Sosas, like that Jeffrey Sosa and that Alexis Sosa, and what is it called? I never had no involvement, but the day before Jeffrey was murdered, I was in school suspension with him, and I was right behind him, and we were in this small in-school suspension class at Calusa Middle School, and it was the first time I ever seen Jeffrey. And I don't know if you can find any pictures. I think I found one picture before of Jeffrey. Here he is here. I was sitting right behind Jeffrey in 2006 in Calusa. And what is it called? I remember seeing him. He stood out. I was like, whoa, there's another boy that's just kind of like me. But he was just a little bit more Spanish. He was a little bit more Espanol, and I was more Blanco. And I was from Canada. I didn't know much about Spanish. I was still trying to learn Spanish. But here he is here. My brother John Gotti says he knows both of them, Alexis and the other one. But I never knew anything about that. I just knew at the time that I was behind Jeffrey in that class, and I remember looking at him or whatever, and I was like, man, I want to work with this guy in the future. I was thinking business, possibly even the drug business at the time. Didn't know, but I always knew I was going to be like law enforcement or something like that at the end of the day. But he definitely intrigued me when I seen him sitting in front of me. Then next thing I know, this girl on the school bus had told me, because I never even met Jeffrey or nothing, never told him my name. He never told me his name or anything. And then I got on the bus like the next day, I think the very next day, and what is it called? That's when this girl notified me, hey, you know Jeffrey? I said, who's Jeffrey? She said Sosa or something like that, and I was like thinking, like, who could have fit that profile? And then I was thinking, and then somehow it came to me that it was the gentleman sitting in front of me or whatever. And that's when I learned, before it was on the news, before it even hit the news, that Jeffrey was they got murdered, and him and his cousin. And then I went to school the very next day, and I told the in-school suspension teacher uh, uh, that Jeffrey had got killed, and no, she wasn't even there that next day. This is the suspicious part that I've sort of grew now. Back then, it was she had told us. Okay, so very next day, I was wanting to tell the teacher, hey, you know that kid that was in the ISS with us? Word is he got um, killed or whatever. But she never came to school that next day. But then I seen her that following day, and she had a broken arm in a sling. And she had said she didn't know anything about that. She didn't even really know the kid at all back then. And I said, no, no, no. This guy he was serious or whatever. But he got killed last night. And then she said, oh well, she hurt herself on the door. She had gotten to a fight with the door, was what she had said, which I believe because that's how women are. They're klutzy. But she had said that she got into a fight with a door, and that's how she got the broken arm or whatever. And she had this like broken arm in a sling. And I don't know if she's still around. She must be fairly old, probably in her 70s now, or late 60s, or early 80s. Who knows? And or she's passed away. I can't remember her name. And she walked away or whatever, and then I went home or whatever, and then next thing you know, on that Fox News, uh, it started. It was a big headline. It was Fox News. I think it's Fox 4 in your corner or whatever. Cape Coral, cash fiends. You might be able to find some stuff on YouTube, but I seen it when it first came up on the TV. And I remember that night it came up on the TV, and I was like, "Whoa, it's real for sure." And then you learn the story or whatever from that perspective, which was that Jeffrey had gotten invited to a party and an adult party, something my father would not let me go to when I was younger. Was these adult parties that a lot of them were into? My father, John Sloat, he worked for Cape Coral Plumbing at the time, which is a very large plumbing company out there in Fort Myers. And my father was a certain way. He wouldn't let me go to teen night. He wouldn't let me do anything like that. One time, at the very most, he let me go out to this neighborhood called Ortiz in Fort Myers, and he let me stay there just for the day. He wouldn't let me stay overnight. This, especially in that specific. especially in that specific area of Ortiz, due to the fact that it's a fairly bad area when it comes to it's a black neighborhood. And and I agree with my father. Thanks so much to my father for being such a good father in regards to that. Or I potentially could have been killed. But yeah, the Red Sox play down there. I've been over by the field. They have a. I used to go to that skate park over there in Fort Myers all the time. That's right by the baseball diamond. That couple players they train there. Some of them do their summer training there, and then also they have games, I believe, there and stuff, as well as that roller and ice rink. I used to go there frequently, and um, Edison Mall. I used to be big into the Edison Mall in Fort Myers. That used to be my hang around when I was younger. And I used to be so poor sometimes. I used to go around and ask for quarters and stuff because my dad didn't know I needed allowance. But then my dad started giving me a $20 or a $30 allowance or whatever. And I didn't go to the Edison Mall much anymore. But I did all types of things in the Edison Mall. I used to walk around just as a kid. And I also used to go to GameStop and play that free GameStop game or whatever that they have in there, whatever. Well, back to the murders or whatever. Yeah, my father would never let me go out to these parties or whatever, and I probably would never have been invited anyway. I wasn't the coolest looking guy or whatever. Uh, but thankfully, he was like that because unfortunately, the Sosas weren't like that. They were big into the cocaine business. I'm sure that they thought Jeffrey and Alexis. I even heard stories. Actually, yeah, there was a big rumor around Cape Coral at the time. I remember that that the Sosa boys were heavy into that business. That were starting to get heavy into that business, and that intrigued me. I'm into money at the time, and I was like, okay, who are these boys? I've heard of that name, Sosa. I was like a gigantic fan of Scarface at the time. I played the game Scarface. Amber Wallace can vouch because I called her. I used to play. She used to be like, "What are you even doing?" Because I used to be just playing pure Scarface the game. Scarface the game on Xbox used to be my favorite game, and I used to just sit there. I even had the Scarface. I got it at Martin Luther King flea market. Was a Scarface phone. They used to have these cases back in the day, not like these ones you just put on the back of the phone, but you take the whole face plate off of it, you take the whole back plate off of it. I used to have that phone or whatever with the Scarface plate or whatever on it. And what is it called? Uh, and I used to play this Scarface game. And so they intrigued me too. I was like, to a business perspective, I was like, okay, I might have to work with these guys in the future because, man, I'm hungry out here. I want my own home. I want my own women. I want my own everything. My dad had the women, the home, the everything too, right? But he was the plumber. I didn't want to do that hard work plumbing at the time. I was like, fuck, I don't want to be a plumber. My dad's busting his ass. Actually, at the time, he was a superintendent. He was doing quite well for himself. But I was thinking a little bit bigger with it. But unfortunately, they got whacked or whatever by a nigger. And what is it called? It was about this white girl, Ashley Toy or whatever, and then a couple other of them. It turned into this like weirdo sex party where they thought they were gang members. They were in this like they were gang members. They had this mind state of like these Cape Coral, Florida crackers mixed with a military black man. That was their gang mind state, with like sort of a retardation of um, of spreading their name cash feeds. So Roderick Washington or whatever could have been like a great military officer or something. Somebody in the military. He could have been somebody in the military. Technically, if you want to go back to the South American roots of it all, they could even argue that he was a United States military officer, um, getting in the way of trafficking of narcotics. These would have been the next generation of Sosas. Now it's just Tony with no Sosa. And so I'm sure he's eating quite well in the jail, unless he's getting eaten alive like some seagulls. Like sometimes it gets like that with the seagulls, um, and they attack when they're hungry. As you can see here, look at this woman's head here. Got attacked by a seagull. And I think that's what happened. There was a bunch of seagulls or whatever, and whatever happened. Anyway, I flew back up north. I was just a snowbird. Then I'm up north in Canada. I'm coming out with my own stuff or whatever, John Gotti or whatever. And we're making money selling clothes the traditional way. We're hustling around in the streets. More specifically, me, I make a lot of money online, internet marketing, for a Chicago-based company called Firelights LLC. That's when around at the exact same time that I started making some good money for myself. Chief Keef popped up around 2012. He was a poor kid out of Chicago. Everyone sort of felt bad for. They wanted to get him out of there. He showed a lot of um, great determination with his craft, and he was going to make it by any means necessary, no matter what. Even if the police came and tried to unhumanely destroy him, he managed to push through it, and he went over to California, and he left all those people in Chicago or whatever at the time. And then they were basically told like he's out of their jurisdiction, and that's when Chief Keef blew up. Well, he was already blew up in Chicago. First, he moved to northern Chicago, and he was facing so much problems in North Chicago. He did that Vice. He was still with that one landlord or whatever, and uh, uh, and I believe he owed them some money or something, so he just abandoned that home or whatever. He did a lot of videos in it or whatever, and used it and abused it, and I think someone even was shot there. And then he moved to California. But he also used that Sosa name, and he might not even have thought, didn't even know the true history behind that Sosa name. He might think that Sosa name's cute when there's a lot of bodies behind that Sosa name right now. The Sosa family got smoked out by niggas. So also at the same time, it could be a kind of a nigga joke that he's named Chief Keef Sosa. Like he took their name and ran with it, and he's alive, and he's fucking with Alejandro. So that's kind of the Sosa thing. He dissed the real Sosa boys, and basically they sexually abused them, and to an ultimate level. First, I believe, they raped them and uh, uh, carved cash fiends into them, poured bleach into them, and then shot them in the heads and set them on fire in a Cape Coral uh, industrial parking lot or something. They did it in the home first. I think I've even drove by the home. Coincidentally, Cape Coral's not that big of a place. And somehow I was around this at the time, even though I was thinking more positively. I was apprenticing with my father. I did that father and son day over at his Cape Coral Plumbing. We were so busy with work that, and my dad don't do drugs, and he was against it, like I said. And I hadn't touched the shit, marijuana even. I had never even touched marijuana until I went up to Tennessee with my friend Kyle Reister, his sister Bridget. I had $20. My dad, sorry, was giving me $20 so I could get some food. But at the time, I was like, man, I eat enough food. I want to try this marijuana stuff I keep hearing about on the internet. Because at the time, the internet was filled, same with now, filled with that marijuana stuff. So I tried that marijuana stuff later on or whatever, but I never really got high off it because I was scared to inhale. And then I came up north to Canada or whatever with a still sober mind state and never even tried the marijuana. And then my brother John Gotti, he had some really nice BC Kush, and he was the one that me and him smoked some BC Kush. We used to go on hikes and all that, and he introduced me to that real purple, that fine marijuana, that Canadian, uh, British Columbia, that BC bud, and that AK-47 and all that. He had some of the finest pot. He is the Prince of pot in Canada. And then I tried that stuff and got relatively high, well, super high. Gotti can vouch, like I was geeking out several times. He remembers me as Jimmy Jones the Geeker. And what is it called? Uh, Gotti used to be in Florida. He was making some headway there. But I was there to go for school and all that. He wanted to be the biggest drug dealer in Florida or whatever at the time. Rick Ross was coming up. And I remember one time me and Gotti were driving through Fort Myers Beach, and Gotti had a big cigar in his mouth, and he was coming up. He was in his he used to have an Oldsmobile, a really nice white Oldsmobile. You might be able to remember him. We had all the Oldsmobiles. My brother had an Oldsmobile. My mom had an Oldsmobile. We also had a the brand new Mustang, Ford Mustang, and we and my dad also had his work truck and a van and a bus and yada yada. But what is it called? That used to be Gotti, and Gotti was getting into the streets, and then they got Gotti on drugs. Junior got Gotti on drugs. I remember going into the house one time. This was the first time I ever seen it with my eyes, a real drug house. I had never seen anything like this. My father didn't. My mother brought me to this. My father was all against my mother. That's why they divorced later on. But they brought me to this real drug house, just like these videos, inside a crack house. This was the first time I ever seen it. My mom was like, "You have to go see your brother. He's going to overdose and die." So we go over to Junior's. This is in Cape Coral at the time. He's since done federal time for his drug trafficking on pills and marijuana and things like that. And he's now a convicted felon out of the state of Florida. But that was the first time I ever went in a drug house. Gotti was just like laid out on the couch. And as I was viewing my brother's body in a coma, we were like, come on, Nick, wake up, wake up. He was drooling and yada yada. We thought it was done for him. And then at the time or whatever, next thing you know, I'm hearing knocks on the door. I don't know who it is. That's when Junior does his drug exchanges or whatever for marijuana. I never seen this stuff in my life. Back then, this stuff was like you were going down, down, baby, oh sweet, like the rainbow with that stuff. And if people like in that perspective, and you still are, because a lot of them don't like it down there, and that's just how they do it. Look at Pooh Shiesty here in front of Mindy. Is that who they put him in front of? Mindy S. Glazer? I didn't know that. And what is it called? Yeah, I seen the drug house and whatnot, and it was a big eye opener. Whatever, Gotti almost died or whatever, and then they sent Gotti back up to Canada or whatever. I guess he sniffed a lot of soft up there, down there. Sorry, soft cocaine, the white. I didn't even know these terms until I had met Gotti and seen his way of life. But through my experience, I learned what the term soft cocaine is, and I pieced it all together that Gotti was big into the soft cocaine back then. Then they realized Gotti, he ain't as rich as he walks around as. And they were like, you know what, we got crack up north, and they sent Gotti to up north or whatever, see what they could do with him up north. That's when Gotti started smoking rock or whatever. He was big into the rock in Guelph and Toronto, and probably still is. And what is it called? Then Gotti started smoking that rock cocaine, and something that I've never been into really. And they tried to get me onto it. They gave me a freebie, and it was an enjoyable freebie, but I could just never see myself smoking it. They think they're going to get me like this Rob Ford, and they just won't. And what is it called? But back to what I was saying before, there was like a war down there. Rick Ross was a hungry ass nigga, and I think he had something to do with it as well. Because I was walking down the Fort Myers beach, and it just so happened I was big into 105.5 The Beat at the time. I think it was one of those things down there in Fort Myers. I went up to Shaggy or whatever, who looks like kind of like this guy or whatever. But I was a little bit like didn't want to say things with my mouth or whatever. And he asked me, "Do you know who I am?" I knew it in my brain. I was like, this guy's Shaggy or whatever. But then I was confused because I used to switch between 105.5 The Beat and another channel. I can't even remember the other channel's name. All I can remember is 105.5 The Beat. Because me and my mom used to listen to the radio show every morning when she used to drive me to school. And they had that Gas Me Up Bitch and the Freak Show. And I even had my mom stop for that Gas Me Up Bitch thing that they did. And she got free gas. And they tried to do some voice recording with me when I was a young kid or whatever, but I was always very shy or whatever at the time, and I didn't say anything. I think I said something really silly, and the big black man didn't really. He wanted something extra hard or something at the time, so he didn't run with it. But yeah, so we did the 105.5, and Gotti came back up north. But then I came up north or whatever. I didn't want to live there down there anymore, and we built John Gotti or whatever brand or whatever, and now he's doing fairly well with Mad Child, and he's got his own record label, and he's doing well on Spotify and things. And we also brought that Gunplay Don Logan up north and did some stuff with him, but it didn't turn out too well. Gotti paid him like 10,000, and we just didn't like it. It was a big learning experience for Gotti and myself for that matter. And Gotti's sort of in the position now where he's got to break free from a lot of chains and shackles they put him in. But that's John Gotti. And even though his brand has kind of taken a hit in regards to the YouTube, he's still alive. He's still working hard. Same with myself or whatever. But that's my understanding of this Cash Fiends thing. And I used to hang out with this kid named Michael Manuel, and he was sort of jealous of me. I've said in previous videos at the time that I had that really nice Scarface phone, that I had that we were making moves, that that I had that really big motorcycle, and he was on that little tiny pocket bike. And man, I thought he was going to be a good worker. He was telling me how good of a worker he was going to be, and we were getting ready to set up business. That's when I was riding. You're going to laugh and say that was me, but he was more like this. And what is it called? I had the full size bike. And so it was kind of like this. I was on the full size motorcycle, and he was probably around 15 on the little tiny pocket bike. And he was jealous, man, but I didn't know how jealous he was because I used to laugh at him all the time. And he used to ride around like this, and he used to be like, tell me like, oh, he's big this, he's big this, he's turning the neighborhood into this and that. But anyway, I was one day on my scooter or whatever, and I was talking to my girlfriend Amber, and man, I did just didn't get it at the time, and he he kicked me in my leg, and uh, I broke my leg or whatever, my tibia and fibia, and what's it called? It was I had to get a cast and whatnot, and people are gonna say like, "Oh man, you got beat by him and all that and all that." Well, look at here, it bit him in the ass because he thought he was really good at this stuff, and he did that to me or whatever. He gave me that big learning experience or whatever. But his mom came and helped me or whatever. But I know they got sexual about it. And what's it called? What is it called? Uh, and I've heard him bragging about it ever since. Well, here's the thing. Manuel now holds on to a severe criminal record in the state of Florida. He was busted for child pornography, 10 counts of that, and the FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, arrested Michael Manuel on that Aqua Linda Boulevard where I used to live, and uh, he did. He was sentenced to 3 years in a federal penitentiary. So he served quite a bit of time, but he still thinks it's cool to get away with assault and mutilation. And that's scary. But I know they have him under heavy surveillance. And I've talked to him, and he's supposed to be on probation. And he's supposed to be restricted from all electronics. He's supposed to be restricted from anything that's capable of connecting or making communications with the internet. Through his communications, he's caused issues up north or whatever, sort of, and he's sort of tainted my record because I felt bad for the kid. He was, even though he broke my leg and whatnot out of jealousy or whatever, because I had a very beautiful girlfriend at the time, a blonde girlfriend. And so I fully understand that certain folks don't play their position. It's more like cattle or whatever. You sometimes have to zap them right back into position. And that's sort of what I should have been doing with Michael. But thank you for teaching me that lesson when it comes to my position. And what is it called? I was going to say his probation officer hasn't been doing the right monitoring of Michael. They try to argue because I had a small time case out here in Canada that's been since extinguished. I no longer have any restrictions or conditions, unlike Michael does under the legal form factor. Uh, and they're going to say, why? Why are you snitching on Mike now? Because in the beginning I was like all for it. I was like, all right, Mike, he got a new Dell laptop. He was playing Xbox and all that, and he probably is continuing to because they want to make it like that on the. They're really weird about their state and their federal laws. But anyways, he's been on the internet again. Okay, and I'm sure he's been viewing the child pornography again. But it's came to my attention or whatever that he thinks he's getting away with this assault and mutilation that he did to me, and they're going to say statute of limitations or whatever on that one. But listen, just there's no statute of limitations because he is a convicted criminal. I believe the statute of limitations gets lifted when that person is a convicted felon and has a conviction of a federal nature under their record, such as 10 counts of child pornography, and he still is under restrictions. He's under probation for, I think it's a life probation down there, uh, quite possibly for the rest of his entire life. He will be on that sexual predator list that they do down there. So anybody can search his name up and find out about him. And it's nothing like my name. My name says nothing but good things when you search it up. Mostly, or there was a case a long time ago that got extinguished. But Manuel was transported to the Lee County Jail. I've been there, and I got my charges through a plea deal of no contest. They are supposed to be completely exonerated or extinguished or whatever. But I've been to that Lee County Jail. I wasn't there for the whole night. My dad immediately bailed me out. But unfortunately, Manuel had done some extreme time down there in Florida. But from my understanding of talking to him, uh, 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 the time wasn't so bad. His mom and dad really cared for Mike, and they made sure Mike was given his canteen. They made sure Mike was given things that were going to keep him happy as well as safe in jail. Because when it comes to jail, sometimes if you got money, you're going to make things move in there and make sure that you keep your face clean. And as far as I know, Mike, he never even he kept his face clean the entire time. He never got hurt. He never got in many fights. He was, from my understanding, what he said was he was running everybody with that canteen or whatever. He had everybody on that program in there. He was receiving a large amount of money through canteen, and he was paying taxes in there to all the big guys or whatever. So they kept him really nice and safe. Other than that or whatever, I don't know where to go with this. It all started with that Sosa name and the Cash Fiends. I met a lot of different people down there. Mark Penner, or a lot of people, Matthew Earls or whatever, who he kept his face real clean. And I never knew he would actually do it. But I remember playing Call of Duty with him at the time, and he had told me uh, that he was gonna be a sniper and he was gonna join the military. And at the time, I was thinking, sure, psh, you're just really good at the game or whatever. But he did. He became a Marine, and he made me proud in that fashion or whatever. That he also, uh, well, actually, he's a very honorable Marine in that manner. And that was one big thing I seen of him. But he did his tour of, I'm not exactly sure where. I'm guessing it was either Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever he went over to. And but he's been back for quite a while. I think 4 years or so, or more. I'm not sure. But here you can see here Matthew's here, and then he's got his other comrades around him. And one other person that did that that really surprised me and my family, and that we're also very proud of, is Justin Batdorf. Uh, Justin Batdorf joined the Army, I believe, which is a separate branch of the United States military. And but he also is back from his tour, and he's been enjoying his time by. Uh, he loves to ride motorcycles, and as you can see, he loves dogs, and he also is a big fan of tattoos and many other things. Florida Gators. And the last I seen of him, a lot of fishing, June 15th of this year, just 4 days ago, he reeled in a fish. And there's a rumor that I kicked Kevin in the face by accident one time when I was at Justin's birthday party, and that was a complete false rumor. Justin was kicked him accidentally in the face, and I had seen Kevin, who is also a veteran, shed a tear. And ever since that day, it's been a sort of a family feud over that. And I can assure you, I wasn't the one that kicked Kevin in the face by accident. Um, And I'm going to quickly touch on something else really fast. I know Matthew, though, got in trouble recently, unfortunately, and I hope he's doing well or whatever and learned from it. Uh, he was drinking. Where is it here? When I searched it up, I was trying to find some. Maybe even it's been removed, but I think it's being removed because I searched up Matthew Earls, Cape Coral, to see any of his commendations for his service because I was interested at the time on my friend or old friend's service record or whatever, or any of his commendations or anything of that matter. You know, who knows? Who knows what could have been put up? And then there was that Matthew Francis. Yeah, they must have removed it because a he is a Marine. So I think they have had that removed, that record removed, because it made him look bad for how dedicated of a service member Mr. Earls was. Uh, I think is why they've removed it, which is a good thing. Now, since I'm on the topic of unfortunate events on this one, I guess I'll do this one. Uh, Actually, let me do a separate one.